Hi, this is Alessio. Hope you're well. In this video, I want to give you a very quick update on the chart of Bitcoin and the recent developments here that have happened here, as you can see, and also this chart and what this potentially means. Plus, also, I'm going to explain to you what the monthly chart of Bitcoin is now telling us. And very importantly, I want to talk to you about this chart I talked to you some weeks ago about the episteme of Bitcoin, the system of thinking. Has the episteme changed on Bitcoin? And also what these comments over here are telling us about the mindset of Bitcoin as well. All right, guys, it's going to be quite interesting. Join me. Alright guys, welcome back. Now, as I'm sure you're probably aware, Bitcoin very recently in the last several days has managed to hold its trendline support that you're seeing here, that we mentioned in fact in last week's members video. And also we took out this regression channel resistance here, breakout from this channel, and more recently, more importantly, we've now taken out the April highs, which we also expected and anticipated, as I'm sure you're aware from previous videos. Now I'm going to explain to you what the significance of this breakout is in this particular video, but let me just say this. A lot of these YouTubers and analysts, actually I prefer to call them analysts, not analysts, because they talk a lot of shit. Yeah, exactly. And the reason is a lot of these analysts and YouTubers, when Bitcoin was dropping here, okay, so when Bitcoin was here and dropping, a lot of these guys were expecting Bitcoin to drop below 15K. Guys, I'm not kidding. A lot of these so-called analysts or analysts, they were expecting Bitcoin to drop back below the lows of December. In other words, below 15K. Some of them were calling below 10K. And the reason and justification as to why they were so bearish was because of, the Federal Reserve.
Oh, this is great.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Kyle is right to laugh because, I mean, just hilarious that these analysts still don't get it. Markets are not rational. They're not driven by common sense or Federal Reserve. They're driven by fear and greed, by emotions. Now, here's the thing. There's a number of things I want to show you here in this particular video. For one thing, I want to show you the episteme chart of Bitcoin and also some more recent comments that I've received, which I want to tell you what they potentially mean. Before we go into that, though, let's first of all move into this particular chart on the monthly. Now, let me just show you this. First of all, this is a screenshot of my video from back in May, about a month ago. And you may remember when Bitcoin was dropping from its monthly 21 EMA, as you can see, there's a monthly chart, and you can see Bitcoin back in May, about a month ago, it had hit the 21 monthly moving average there, the blue line, and it was dropping from that level. And here's what I said to you in my video back in May. Let's play the clip very quickly, we'll come back. I do not think that bear market or kiss of death scenario is likely. Okay, so I'm not expecting it. I'm only saying it in this particular video to give you context, and also I mentioned why I remain bullish, as I continue to remain bullish on Bitcoin even now. But here's something interesting. My view is this. My view is that Bitcoin is going to soon, in the next several weeks, I think Bitcoin is going to take out this high that it made right here, just near 30,000, approximately, yeah, near 31K or 30K. So watch this level very carefully. That means taking out that level, prior high of April, by moving above that level, that means Bitcoin is giving us a clear signal. You know what? I'm going to go and continue the bull market, which I think we're already in right now. Again, I still think we're in a bull market in Bitcoin. Some people I know disagree, but I think Bitcoin is going to eventually do that. I think Bitcoin is going to take out that prior high we made in April in the next few weeks or months. And I think when it does that, when it goes above that level, that would totally obliterate and destroy the kiss of death hypothesis, the scenario, and push us into a very strong long-term bull market. All right, guys, welcome back. Thank you for watching that. Let's go on to the monthly chart very quickly. This is the monthly chart of Bitcoin. Actually, before I show you this, let me show you what the chart looked like at the beginning of June. So you can see this is the monthly chart of Bitcoin at the start of June. Notice it got even worse. You can see a couple of red bars formed at the beginning of June, as you can see right there. And again, as I mentioned in that video back in May, I said I'm not expecting a kiss of death scenario, and I said that's a very low probability. So here's the bottom line. Here's the important point about this. Bitcoin had every opportunity given to it to trigger the kiss of death. For example, it had every opportunity to take out the 20K level or the prior lows of November last year. But it did not take that opportunity, and instead, as we expected, it took out the prior highs of April. Okay, so that's a very positive sign. Let's go on the monthly chart now. This is the monthly chart as it looks like right now. Notice that green bar, a nice solid green bar there, as you can see in the chart, and it's taken out the April highs. That's a very positive sign. Bitcoin has now rejected In other words, giving the middle finger to the kiss of death. And that's a very good thing. It's a positive thing. Now, I know what some of you are probably thinking. You might be thinking, well, Alessio, what if it's a false break? What if this is a false rally? What if it's just a fake rally? Like, for example, let's go on this chart here on the daily chart. You may be thinking, well, what if this is a false rally or a fake rally? Well, it could be. Anything is possible. But let me say that I do not think this is a fake rally. No, actually, I think this is the continuation of the uptrend and the bull market. So to me, the more likely, the more probable way of interpreting this chart is that this is now a rejection of the bearish kiss of death pattern, and actually it's a reconfirmation. It's a reconfirmation of the bull market. Now, of course, if I'm wrong, and if Bitcoin, it's an if, but if Bitcoin were to take out the June lows, there's the June lows here at 24,750. If Bitcoin were to fall below the June lows at 24,750, which I'm not expecting, I think that's a low probability, so I don't think it's going to happen. But if that were to happen, then sure, I would change my mind and become very bearish. But as long as we stay above the June lows here, I think that the bottom is in, and I think very likely we could see higher levels on Bitcoin here. By the way, let me also show you this. This is a screenshot of my members video from Sunday. Let me play for you very quickly what I said on Sunday, and we'll come back. Just recently, Bitcoin held two important levels from technical perspective. Number one, it held this trend line you're seeing here, and the 21 weekly. You can see a nice green bar forming there. So it's forming right, kind of a hammer-shaped candlestick right on that 21 weekly. And by the way, you can see it very clearly here as well on this daily chart. So what am I waiting for? All I'm waiting for now is confirmation. I do think we're coming very close to a bottom here on Bitcoin. So the recent bounce here, I think, is very interesting and very informative. So I think we're coming close to a potential bottom here on Bitcoin. All I'm waiting for is confirmation. So I need to see confirmation by a break above 27,400. All right, guys, welcome back. So essentially what I said on Sunday was that as long as Bitcoin stays above this magenta line here, I drew this magenta line that you can see here for a reason, to say this is my cutoff point, my invalidation point. And I said as long as Bitcoin stays above this level at 23,340, I still remain bullish. And I think the odds are that Bitcoin is bottoming here, and all I was looking for was a confirmation above 27,400. So Bitcoin took out a 27,400 level here on Tuesday, and that also initiated and triggered the nice breakout rally higher. Now, there is another important thing I want to mention here, and this is absolutely crucial to your understanding of chart analysis, because a lot of people don't know this. And by the way, guys, if you can get this, this will put you way ahead of everybody else out there. Back when Bitcoin was dropping here and making this very choppy moves here, as you can see, here is something important that I mentioned in my members video about a couple of weeks ago. Listen to this and we'll come back. There's so many overlaps here. So this rally, this bounce, and this bounce, notice they overlap one another. They moved in the same territory as one another. And so did this one here too. Okay, there's a lot of overlap. This particular rally here overlapped with this one, and I would say even this one here as well. These overlapping structures are usually typical of corrective structures, which is still, that's why my view still remains that this drop here is likely a correction as opposed to a reversal in the trend. All right, guys, as you heard in that video, one of the strongest clues that you can find as to whether a chart, as to whether a price pattern is corrective. When I say corrective, I mean simply this is a correction as opposed to a downtrend. So essentially, as you heard in that video was, look, these rallies, all these pullbacks are overlapping. There's a lot of overlapping structures here, okay, as you can see. And these overlaps, as you can see here, over the last several weeks, going all the way back to April, are indications of a corrective pattern. In fact, one of the signatures of a corrective pattern are overlaps or overlapping structures, like the one you're seeing here. Notice all these patterns are overlapping. So that's one of the reasons I still maintain that this drop here is a correction, not a reversal in the trend like so many analysts and YouTubers were expecting out there. All right, guys? By the way, I need to also mention this, that I did not get everything right. In fact, when Bitcoin was dropping here at this point, I thought at this point Bitcoin had bottomed. But of course, I was wrong. It had a slightly lower low to go. But in any case, it held a trend line here that we mentioned in the Sunday video. It held a trend line, bounced from it, and all we were looking for was a break above resistance, this channel, and also the 27,400 level. Okay, now, here's the thing. Here's something important I want to mention here. Take a look at this chart you're seeing here. Now, I mentioned this in my video also some weeks ago, if you recall, about episteme. Now, if you haven't seen that video, go ahead and watch it. That episteme simply means a system of thinking. This is Foucault terminology. Again, one of the greatest philosophers was Michel Foucault, and he's actually one of my favorite philosophers. And he coined this term episteme to mean a system of thinking, a system of thought. And I said in my video a few weeks ago that There is a lot of disbelief out there, and a lot of people still think that Bitcoin is going to collapse and go lower. And that was a bullish sign for Bitcoin. In fact, here's what I said in that video. Very quickly, we'll come back. So in my view, these comments, these rather bearish, negative comments, very pessimistic comments, the episteme that the price cannot go back up, can only go lower, these kind of comments you typically see at the beginning of another or a new bull market. So that's my belief. I think that if it's correct that we're in the beginning of another major bull market on Bitcoin, which I think is quite likely as long as Bitcoin stays above 20K, then I think these kind of comments will soon come to an end. I think perhaps in the next few months. I think if Bitcoin continues to rally higher in the next several months, which I think is quite likely, then I think you're going to see the episteme, the system of thinking, change from one of cycles to mechanism. Again, fundamentals, schmundamentals. All right, guys, welcome back. So the episteme a few weeks ago was still a lot of disbelief and, again, very much pessimism and negativity on Bitcoin. The question is, has this changed? So let me show you this. These are comments from our own subscribers. Let me say this. The people who wrote these comments are fantastic people. Okay, I think they're very intelligent, very smart people, and I respect them. So I'm not trying to criticize anyone here. All I'm doing here is I want to show you what the system of thinking or what the mindset or episteme still is right now. So let me read you these comments. This one says over here, unless it gets past 31K, this is just another pump and dump. So again, notice the words pump and dump. And this commentator is saying, I'm thinking double top and a hard crash. So a very negative and pessimistic comment here. This one says, Alessio, I've been watching this as a probable medium time frame WXY play out with the high just hit as an X ready for a Y wave down. Okay, so for a Y wave down. Thanks again for your excellent content. Again, a great comment. He could be right. I just happen to disagree. The main point is this is also a pessimistic comment about Bitcoin. And here's this one over here. Yep, not convinced yet. If price can break and stay above the previous 30K top for some length of time, I will reevaluate. Okay, guys, so basically a lot of these comments so far are still rather pessimistic and negative. So I think, in my view, that the episteme has not changed. Now, I know you're probably thinking, well, Alessio, surely there must be some bullish comments out there too. Yes, but the point is that those kind of pessimistic comments, those negative comments, do not happen at the top of a market. So when Bitcoin was topping here, okay, so when Bitcoin was topping back in 2021, you would not see those kinds of comments. The kind of comments you see at the top of the market, okay, like here and here, are Bitcoin can never drop. Bitcoin can only go up. There's not going to be any crash, no drops whatsoever. So my point is, those kinds of pessimistic comments that I read to you just now are not the kind of comments you see at the top of a market. So I think it's highly unlikely that we've reached the top in Bitcoin, as I said to you some weeks ago. So I think, as Michel Foucault would say, that the episteme of pessimism and negativity has not changed. The episteme of disbelief has not changed. There are still people out there who think that we're going to crash and go lower. And to me, that's a positive sign. That's a very bullish sign for Bitcoin, potentially, as long as we stay above the June lows. Okay, and that's very important. So even though I could be wrong here, all right, guys, so I could be wrong. I'm not trying to tell you that I know everything. I'm not trying to say that you have a crystal ball and can see into the future. No, absolutely not. I could be wrong. But personally, I think that as long as Bitcoin stays above the June lows here, the June lows we made recently, I'm going to remain bullish, as I have been doing for the last several weeks and months. All right, guys, thank you very much indeed. Make sure you join me in tomorrow's members video. We're going to go into the chart of Bitcoin in a lot more detail with Elliott waves. Thank you very much indeed. If this video has helped, give it a thumbs up, and also please subscribe for future video updates. Thanks a lot. Bye for now.